A fraction of this Ananda is what human beings get through their sensory contacts with sense objects. Just a fraction of this Ananda you get out of all this. That is a wonderful statement in the Taittiriya also. Etaseva anandasya matram upajivanti. Ananda is one infinite source. We all want Ananda. We get a little here, a little there, a little tip here, like that we get. But when you come to this state, you are at the very ocean of Ananda itself, the very center of Ananda itself. That is how God is presented in Vedanta. That's why you get the three words constantly, Sat, Chit, Ananda. That is the ultimate Brahman. Sat, pure existence or truth. Chit, pure consciousness. Ananda, pure bliss. That is the infinite Brahman, and the whole world gets a bit of that Brahman through the various little experiences we have in this life. This is the positive attitude presented by Vedanta. All that we have joys in life, they are all joys. Sensory joys, any other type of joy, intellectual joy, all these are joy. But these are all just a fraction of that infinite joy which is the joy of Brahman realization. This is what people must understand. We are not in a state of joylessness. We have joy, but there is always a multiple, a multiple, a multiple. And you go to the maximum, you come to the joy of God, joy of Brahman. So, joy of God is not separated from the joy of the world. Joy is joy. Bliss is bliss. But this is so flimsy, so little, just a few drops dripping, as it were, from that infinite ocean. This is what people must realize. Then they will know how to go to higher and higher types of joy. Next, one verse will come where this study is made. The multiples of joy. Very beautiful description here, and still better in the Taittiriya Upanishad. One wonderful section beginning with Asa Esha Anandasya Mimamsa Syat. Let us have a calculus of the nature of bliss. That is how that text begins. And here also it's coming in a similar way. So, Etaseva Anandasya Anyani Bhutani, other beings, Matram, a small portion, Upajivanti, they enjoy. That's all. You eat a good meal, you get joy. What is that joy? Joy of Brahman. Coming through this little bit of food, after 1 hour it is over. All that joy is over. Very temporary, very little, very, very flimsy, but it is joy. Every joy is joy, coming from the divine. This is the Vedantic teaching. The later Hindu religion forgot it. They made everything sort of a dark, dingy, and without any kind of faith or confidence in our life. We developed that. That's not correct. This Vedantic teaching says that the little baby is enjoying beautiful joy, smiling nicely. You can see a bit of the Brahman joy in that little baby. In this way, in every department of life, wherever there is joy, wherever there is experience of bliss, we are only experiencing the same bliss of Brahman, but highly attenuated, highly contracted, small bit of it we are getting here. So we want a little bigger, because the human mind wants the maximum of joy. If you want the maximum of joy, try to realize your own infinite nature. That is the center of all joy. This is how Vedanta tells people, be satisfied with what you have. If you are not satisfied, proceed further. There is infinite joy available to everyone. It is available. This kind of a positive attitude you get in Vedanta, not looking down upon life as something entirely dark, dingy, false, Such language came later. But in the Upanishad, you are in a positive attitude. When I deal with that shloka, where you have the calculus of joy, I shall refer to this positive attitude as given in the Taittiriya Upanishad. So he says, when, however, ignorance which presents things other than the self, when we are ignorant, we see other things like waking and dream, apart from the self, then only all these difficulties come. In that state of profound sleep, there is nothing separated from the self by ignorance. What should one see, smell, know, and what? It's all the self alone and nothing else. In profound sleep, the self, bereft of its limiting adjuncts of the body, the sense organs, etc., remains in its own supreme light of the Atman, free from all relations. No relatedness is there in that state, because there is no second thing to relate. O Emperor, thus did Yajamalkya instruct Janaka. This is spoken by the Shruti. This is Shruti's language. That's one. How did he instruct him? Shankara says, this is its supreme attainment, the attainment of the individual self. This is the supreme glory. This is the supreme bliss. All these various characterizations we heard. Now comes that comparison. The joy that we have, they belong to various dimensions. Human joy, and there are other levels of joy also. That is being dealt with here. Sayo manushyanam rataha samardho bhavati anyesham adipatihi sarvair manushair ego bhogaihi. The text says, he who is perfect of body, take a young person, perfect of body and prosperous among men, plenty of money and resource available, and the ruler of all people also, and most lavishly supplied with all human enjoyments, represents the greatest joy among human beings. That one represents the greatest joy as a human being. This is number one. This human joy, multiplied by 100 times, makes one unit of joy for the Pitras, the maids, our dead ancestors living in that world of the dead. The joy of these maids who have won that world, multiplied 100 times, makes one unit of joy in the world of the celestial minstrels, the Gandharvas. Their joy, their bliss is still more than of these people. The joy of the gods, by action multiplied 100 times, makes one unit of joy for the gods by birth, ajana janam, as well as of one who is versed in the Vedas. Now he is giving a beautiful comparison, but one comparison matches with every one of these levels of joys. What is that? Shotriyasya cha akamahatasya. That human being who is well versed in the spiritual knowledge and who is unsmitten by desire, his joy is equal to the joy of this person, the joy of that person, the joy of that God, this God, etc., etc. That is put equal to all. This will be very beautifully put in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Shotriyasya cha akamahatasya. Akamahatasya. One who is not smitten by kama, by external desire, ever free, ever full. That person's joy is equal to that king's joy. That person's joy is equal to that Deva, Gandharva, and all these various higher and higher levels of beings. That's what is being said here. This joy of the gods, multiplied 100 times, makes one unit of joy in the world of Prajapati, Virat, the universal Lord of the whole world. That's called Virat in Sanskrit, Prajapati. As well as of one who is versed in the Shrutis, sinless and free from desire. That man is equal to all. See the language. Here in this very life, we get the joy of this, joy, that. How? By controlling desires, becoming free from all sin, perfection here and now. The Brahman realization comes to us here and now. This joy in the world of Prajapati, multiplied 100 times, makes one unit of joy in the world of Brahman, Hiranyagarbha, that cosmic personality, as well as one who is versed in the Vedas, sinless and free from desire. A man sinless, free from desire in this world, equal to Hiranyagarbha, Brahma, the creator. Just imagine what wonderful status this human being gets, because in him is this infinite Atman, sown through nature. He doesn't know. Such a wealth is there within, and he runs after everything. But once he knows this running after will cease for him. He will be immersed in his own joy of his own true infinite nature. This is the state of Brahman, O Emperor, said Yajnavalkya. I gave you 1,000 cows, sir. Please instruct me further about liberation itself. What is all these 1,000 cows again and again? They have so many brahmacharis in training in their gurukulas. No fees was charged in those days. Rich people, they made donation. Sometimes a king, sometimes rich people, they made donation. They used to run the institutions in those days. That's why this kind of dakshina comes in order to maintain that big institution. At this, when Emperor said, tell me further, Yajnavalkya said, this gentleman is going to take out all from me. That's not be. He said like that. Yajnavalkya was afraid that the intelligent emperor was constraining him to finish with all his conclusions. See? Just for humor is put there. All beings, from Hiranyagarbha up to our human beings here, they live on particles of fractions of supreme bliss. That is the statement. From Hiranyagarbha, his joy, far better than ours, but still it is only a particle compared to the joy of Brahman. In order to convey an idea of this bliss as a whole through its various parts, as of a rock of salt through its grain, Shankara as example, take a rock of salt and take one grain of it and study, and then let us see how many million grains make for that salt. Some salt is taste. This salt has taste, but that rock salt, that whole rock, has got immense saltishness, far superior to this little grain. Similarly, bliss that we experience, we are taking the totality, a little bit, my little joy, and study it. Then we find there is still bigger, there is still bigger, there is still higher. That knowledge comes to you. There. These are the various kings who have plenty of power, plenty of money. They are full of joy. That is one. That is the unit, as they call it, unit. Then the higher beings are there. Devas, Gandharvas, etc., etc. This human joy multiplied 100 times makes the one unit of the joy of the Pitrus or mains. That multiplied another 100 is the Gandharva and Deva, etc. All this we have seen. This is the supreme bliss. Vedavyasa also says, the sense pleasures of this world and the great joys of heaven are not worth 1/16th part of the bliss that comes from the cessation of desire. It says, Narhati Shodashim Kalam. 1/16th. In those days, just like a rupee at 16 annas, they also had Karshapana, 16 and 1/16th of it, said Upanishad time. So 1/16th of that is only this compared to that infinite state of desirelessness. This is Brahman, he says. Whatever questions of his regarding liberation, I answer. The emperor, being intelligent, takes all to be part of questions that he is at liberty to ask me. One question he was allowed to ask. That question he made into several, and all that part of oneself. In that way, the Ajnavalkya is saying here, on the plea of asking his wished for questions covered by the boon, he wants to possess all my knowledge. This was the cause of the Ajnavalkya's fear. Now, after this great experience, we enter into a subject of rebirth. It comes here because from dream we go to waking. From waking we go to dream. It is like a rebirth. From the waking body we throw away and we go to the dream world, enjoy life in a different way. Similarly, living, waking, dream all, we go to another birth, take another body. The only difference is going to tell you, very interesting, that when you go from waking to dream, you leave the body in the care of the pranas. Prana, you look after the body. That the bioenergy will function. The function will remain. And you will return to your own body. In the case of death and rebirth, the prana also goes away from the body. The body is no more fit, no return to it. You manufacture a new body at that time. That is what is coming now. So, just a few words about this subject of rebirth. In the Upanishads, it's only just a little. Later, literature develops the concept of rebirth, including the concept of karma. Karma comes here also. According to your action, will be your birth in the future. That comes here also. But the development came much later. Here we are interested to see the immortal dimension of the human being. We are not interested in the question of rebirth, etc. in the Upanishads. But it is mentioned, introduced as a subject subsidiary to the knowledge of the Atman. Tat yatha yanaha. Just as a cart, see the example, is dealing with death. This body, now it is time to leave. The soul is no more finding it worthwhile. So that state is being described. Just as a cart, heavily loaded, goes on rumbling, so does the self that is in the body, being presided over by the Supreme Being, go making noises, creaky noises like the cart. When breathing becomes difficult, that is the last stage of human life before the pranas go away. The description is given. So Shankara has come and says, 4.3.35, from here onwards, reincarnation of the self is being described to show that as the self came from the dream to the waking state, so it will pass from this body to the next. An example of being given here, just as in a cart, fully or heavily loaded with utensils, other household effects, such as a mortar, pestle, winnowing fan, cooking vessels, and also eatables. You fill up all in the cart. So heavy it has become. It goes on rumbling under the load, driven by the carter. So does the self that is in the body, namely the self that has the subtle body as its limiting adjunct. As a gross body, there is the subtle body. That self is covered by the subtle body. And the subtle body is now trying to depart from the gross body. That has the subtle body as a limiting adjunct, which moves between this and the next world. This world and that world. Who goes? The subtle body. The Sukshma Sharira there. As between the waking and dream states, also subtle body does it. Waking and dream states also, the subtle body moves from one to the other. There. Through birth and death, consisting respectively in the association with and dissociation from the body and the organs. Life means association with the organ. Death means dissociation from the organs. Called evils. They are the things that make us forget about divine nature. So they are called evils from that point of view. And and the departure of which is immediately followed by that of the vital force. As soon as it departs, the vital force also goes away, the prana that held together this wonderful system, bioenergy. As soon as this subtle body goes away, prana also goes away. Presided over, immediately followed, being presided over, revealed by the self-luminous Supreme Self, go making noises. The cart is making noises. The whole body is in a very difficult situation. It hasn't got energy to carry on. So when there is no energy to carry on, it makes creaky noises. All creaky noises come from want of energy to carry the burden that is there. The body also the same. An aching here, a pain here, a this here, something goes on all the time because the body is no more fit to function in this world. It should be noted here that when the subtle body, which has the vital force as its chief constituent, Sukshma Sharira, is centered in the pranas, vital force that is within, and is revealed by the self-luminous Atman. The Atman is there also, that reveals the prana and the whole life itself. When that goes, when the chief vital force goes, the self of which it is the limiting agent also seems to go. Also seems to go. It has no actual going. It seems to go. As another Shruti says, on whose departure must I depart? One Shruti has said, if the prana goes, I should also go. Well, I shall go. That is how the Atman or the self or Jiva, as they call it, goes away from the body. Otherwise, how can the self, being unified with the Supreme Self, go making noises like a cart? Therefore, the meaning is that the self with a subtle body as its limiting agent, subtle body as prana as the limiting agent, goes making noises, the death rattle as they call it, afflicted by the feeling of pain as the vital parts are slashed little by little. When does that happen? When breathing becomes difficult, when the man is gasping for breath, the word etat is an adverb, meaning thus. Although this is an occurrence, he repeats it only to create a spirit of renunciation in the people. So miserable is this relative existence, this duality existence. Since at the time of death, the vital parts are slashed, causing loss of memory and putting a man in a helpless state of mind on account of the pangs that are felt, so that he cannot adopt the requisite means for his well-being. Therefore, before that crisis comes, he must be alert in practicing the means conducive to that end. That end is coming, this physical end. We must know that there is a truth to be realized. We must engage ourselves in realizing the truth, and the body is in a good condition. Then when the body becomes cracky, it doesn't give us any trouble. We have touched the truth once, let the body come and go. The man who realizes the ultimate truth, how does he look upon the loss of the body? There's a shloka in the Vivekananda of Shankaracharya. Sthale vapi, jale vapi, lutateva, jadatmakaha, naham vilipyetat dharmaihi, ghadadharmai nabhoriva. Let this body fall down, whether in a piece of land or in a tank or kind of lake. I am not affected by that at all. Just like the space in a pot is not affected by the contents of the pot. Suppose the pot contains nectar, it doesn't affect space. Suppose it contains wine, it doesn't affect space. Similarly, I am not affected by this. Let it go. Let it go. Later on, he will also give the example in this Upanishad. A snake goes to a corner, removes his outer skin, and then goes away. He has left the skin. You saw a snake, but you don't find him now. Fresh skin, he has gone. Old skin lies here, that you can see in the villages, in many places. That is an example that is taken. Completely detaching himself from the parts of the body, such as the eye, ear, nose, etc., not preserving the body through the vital force. Now we don't want to preserve the body through the vital force when we are facing death. When we went to dream, we did it. At that time we kept the vital force to look after the body so that I will return back to it. As he does when he goes into the state of profound sleep, at that time we kept the vital force active in the body. But withdrawing the organs together with the vital force, again go, etc. The word again suggests that he has before also gone many times. I have done birth many times, death many times. We do not know. We think it is all first, not at all. In the Mahabharata, Vyasa speaks to Shuka, his son. There are 4 verses. They are known as Bharata Savitri, the Gayatri of the Mahabharata. There he says, how many births you have passed through, how many deaths you have passed through, you do not know. This is the language. We do not know. Here also the same. Again means that they have come to this before, they have enjoyed this world, they have gone back, again come back, this kind of going and coming. Gata gatam, going and coming. Punaragati, return journey. All this will continue till the truth of the Atman is realized. I am immortal. I am full. I am nothing to gain from outside. Everything is within me. That knowledge makes you absolutely uninterested in repeated body embodiments. For the unfoldment is vital force. He goes from one body to another only for the unfoldment of the vital force. Just the vital force, prana, wants to express itself through desires, through ambitions, through this, through that, through everything. This is how it goes on. It is by this means, and not by the mere existence of the vital force, that he fulfills his object, namely the enjoyment of the result of his work. I have done work, the fruit is there, I will enjoy it there. Again I will do work there, again fruits will come, again I shall. You go on sowing, harvesting, continuously, until your seed is burnt to ashes. Then no more sowing, no more harvesting. That burning is what we do through knowledge of the Atman. That burns away the seed of karma. Therefore, in order that the vital force may be auxiliary to that, the specification for the unfoldment of the vital force is appropriate. Now the Jiva goes on. A man is born into the body that has been made for him, says one of the Upanishads, one of the Vedic texts. Then the example is given of this kind of rebirth. A king duly installed on the throne, etc. That example is merely to say that the thing is ready for us to go to the next birth. There we create a new body for ourselves and start our life again, forgetting all the past. In fact, when we deal with the subject of rebirth, the only objection against rebirth is you don't remember your past experience. That's the only objection. And that objection has no meaning, because so many things you don't remember. Your first year of life you don't remember. So doesn't mean you didn't exist. You existed, only you don't remember. Remembrance and existence are not the same. You can exist without remembering. So past life you don't remember. But in this life, first 2-3 years we don't remember. Then only we start remembering. So the only objection, rational, is this idea of loss of memory. On the contrary, nature has done good to put a blanket on your memory, because your procedure towards the future will be arrested if the past goes on pulling you all the time. Memory of the past, constantly. It is good for human progress that that memory is not there. Go onward with the language. Now, this text referred to transmigration. Then we deal with number, beautiful subject. At this stage, it says, again occupy the respective places when man takes another body. This dual phenomenon takes place when a man is fast asleep and when he wakes up. This is expressed by the text. When the presiding deity of the eye turns back from all sides, the dying man fails to notice color. At this time, the self completely withdraws particles of light, the eye and other organs, as in a dream state. At the time just before death, all the energy of the sense organs are withdrawn. The beautiful text comes. Text 442. Eki bhavati na pashyati tyahuhu. The eye becomes united with the subtle body. Then people say, he does not see. Watching a dying man, people around will say, he is not able to see now. The eye has been withdrawn into the subtle body. The nose becomes united. Then they say, he does not smell. The tongue becomes united. Then they say, he does not taste. The vocal organ becomes united. Then they say, he does not speak. The ear becomes united. He does not hear. The mind becomes united. Then they say, he does not think. The skin becomes united. He does not touch. The intellect becomes united. Then they say, he does not know. These are the stages. Those who observe a dying person can testify the truth of all these statements. Through that brightened top of the self departs. Brightened top. Either through the eye, or through the head, or through any other part of the body. When it departs, the vital force follows. When the self goes, prana also goes. When the vital force departs, all the organs follow. Eye, ear, nose, not one of them can stay without the vital force. They also go. In your first book of this Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, we studied a quarrel between the sense organs and the pranas. Who is supreme, supremely powerful? That was the discussion. The eye said, I am supremely powerful. So let us see, let us test. I said, I am going away from the body. I left the body. Body continued to exist, only blind, that's all. Cannot see, but he did not die. Then I came back, defeated. Then the ear, then the nose, one by one. All the sense organs, one by one left. But still the body continued to exist, living, acting, etc. Then finally came the pranas. I shall disappear from the body. As soon as they started moving, all the sense organs said, no, don't go. If you go, we are all gone. You are the master, you are supreme, we salute you. That is why in the book it is written, whatever you take to the sense organs are offerings by the sense organs to the prana that is within. Just like puja, offering. There's language used there. The eye brings offering to the prana. The ear brings offering to the prana. Prana is supreme within the body. So a great, what you call, description of the greatness of prana is given in that place. Also, it is given in the Prashna Upanishad in praise of prana. Pranasya ekam jagat sarvam. The whole world is nothing but the play of prana, play of this energy, either physical energy, bioenergy, psychic energy. Energy makes the world goes on. That's the language that is used. In fact, prana brings the rains to the world, says the Prashna Upanishad. Beautiful. You can see when the frogs begin to croak, the rainy season begins, that is the beginning. Plenty of rains will come, and frogs are happy. They want water. So in one shloka, the Prashna Upanishad says, Yathatvam abhivarshasi atheva pranate prajaha anandarupas tishtanti kamayannam bhavishyati iti. What a beautiful picture of the human mind. Expecting the rain, the monsoon to begin. Just now, A month ago we were all praying, monsoon must come, monsoon must come. We are worried, all over trouble, we are suffering. So this shloka represents that. It says, O prana, yadatvam abhivarshasi. When you bring the monsoon into this world, then what happens? Athema prajaha. These your children, these beings in the world, all of them, not only human, subhuman, all. Anandarupas tushtanti. They just become full of joy. Why? Kamaya annam bhavishyati iti. We shall have enough food to eat this time. You have fallen here. That kind of prayer in praise of prana you get in Krishna Upanishad. So here he said like that. The knowledge, the organs depart along with the prana. Then the self has particular consciousness. That particular separate consciousness of the self, it goes there and goes to the body which is related to that consciousness. This body, it leaves behind. Another body is waiting for it. That consciousness knows where to go. It has its own kind of what you call affinity. The principle of chemical affinity. In chemistry there is chemical affinity. Similarly, psychic affinity. It goes to the body to which it is connected with. It is followed by this consciousness goes to another body. What does it carry with it? It cannot carry the wealth, bank account, money, nothing it can carry, but it carries 2, 3 things. Yes. Knowledge, work, and past experience. These things go with it. That is the wealth you carry to the next world. What are they? Tam vidya karmani samanya arabhete purva pratnyacha. Vidya karmani. Vidya is knowledge. Karma is action. And purva pratnya, past knowledge and experience. All this accumulated within you, what you call vasanas, samskaras, you carry with them, with you, with your consciousness, and start your new work there with this capital. That capital may be sometimes very, very bad, sometimes very good. We do not know whether we carry assets or liabilities more. But according to what we carry will be the life, the next birth. This expression is often quoted. Tam vidya karmani samanyarabhete. He is accompanied by vidya and karma. Also purva pratnyacha, previous wisdom or experience. All these go together with the person who leaves this body. So the idea of rebirth is mentioned here. And in this, the subject of past life we do not have, but today there is study about the past life. Serious study is going on in the West, investigation. Even by putting a person in hypnosis and trying to ask him what happened a year ago, what happened 2 years ago, and they go on telling. People who are nearby, who are known to the person, they can vouch, yes, this is true. After the first year, people have gone with this hypnosis and telling. And somebody has claimed it has gone to the previous birth also, but that has not been substantiated. But the trouble is going on. Effort is going on in this matter. But we discovered this truth of rebirth when we discovered Sukshma Sharira. We have a Sthula Sharira, within which is a Sukshma Sharira. What affects the Sthula Sharira doesn't affect the Sukshma Sharira. The age of the Sthula Sharira is not the age of the Sukshma Sharira. This is still young. Take for example, we are very old, but our desires are very fresh, like a young man's desire. The body is very old, it cannot be useful, but the desire is very strong to enjoy this world. There you can see that this and that are not the same type. Body grows old. It has got, for every body, birth, growth, and decay, and death is part of it. But Sukshma Sharira has got much longer stay, because it is subtle. Subtler a thing, longer it can stay. So we discovered rebirth when we discovered Sukshma Sharira. So death is only removing the Sthula Sharira. That's why the Gita gave the example. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grihnati navani dehi. Just like when old clothes are torn, we throw them away and get new clothes to the body. So when this body becomes torn and good for nothing, we throw it away, take another body. That is the example given in the Gita. And therefore, here one beautiful example is given of the nature of rebirth. I will just read that section for today. That is verse number 3. 443. Tad yatha trinajalayuka trinasyantam gatva anyam. Just as a leech, that kind of a leech which you have in the mountain areas, a leech supported on a straw, yes, goes to the end of it, climbing up to the end, there, takes hold of another support, another straw, and contracts himself to that. That is how the Sukshma Sharira goes to the Sthula Sharira, see the language. Takes hold of another support and contracts itself, so does the self. Throw this body aside, make it senseless, take hold of another support and contract itself. This is how rebirth takes place. The methodology of rebirth I mentioned there. Just as a leech, Shankara says in his commentary, supporting on a straw, goes to the end of it, takes hold of another straw as support, and contracts itself, one part of his body, to where the other part is. So does the self, the transmigrating self that is being discussed. Throw this body, the one already taken, aside, throws it aside, as it does when entering the dream state. Make it senseless by withdrawing itself from it. Take hold of another support, or body, as the leech does, another straw, by stretching out its impressions and contract itself, that is, identify itself at the place where the new body is being formed. Not here, there, now. With that new body, movable or immovable, as in dreams, the self creates a new body and dwells, as it were, in that dream state. There the organs, under the sway of the person's past work, begins to work there, are combined so as to manifest their functions. An external body, like one made of straw and clay, are also formed. When the organs have been arranged, the presiding deities such as fire come to the body to help the organ of speech and so forth. This is the process of the formation of a new body. The language may change, but the truth will remain the same in today's discussion. Now in this formation of a new body, does the self again and again crush the materials that are always there, ready at hand, and with them make a new body? Or does it collect new materials every time? This is being answered through an illustration. Up to that, we come today and take up the remaining next time, this subject. This is 444. We begin. 443, we have finished. This is the beautiful subject for next Sunday. Another 2 Sundays more, then we come to Yajnavalkya and Maitri dialogue, a beautiful section of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. We shall spend a minute in silence and then depart. We were studying the section in the 4th book dealing with reincarnation. That is a very old teaching in India. We accept it as it is. So when we speak of death, we speak of giving up the body. Even the ordinary radio is Dehatyakiya, is the language used. Give up the body. But I am not the body. I have a body. Body is old, useless, it is gone. But I remain. That is the meaning of our day-to-day speech based upon this long